Oh, are you watching that?
Everyone will be starting the meeting at 7. I just wanted you to know I have turned on the streaming, so it does pick up sound and video. Thank you. I'm going to do that right after roll call. It moves, but I don't think very far. It's under the desk. Okay. Well, we need you to be on a microphone.
No, you're good. I'm listening more than anything at this point. I can't hardly see who's what.
My thing is, I wouldn't know who it is.
Really win. It was down by 6. 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Is there anyone here from the Ministerial Alliance tonight? Okay. I don't see any. Mr. Scott said he was there. Okay, it is 7 o'clock and we'll call the meeting to order. If everyone could rise with us for the invocation and pledge. Scott Circle will be leading the invocation.
Bow your hands with me. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity that we can gather together and conduct the business of the county. We just ask, Lord, that you give each and every one of the board members the wisdom that they need to make the decisions that they need to do. Help us to all do it in a rational manner. And we give you all the glory and the honor and the praise in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Andy Garland.
Here.
Joey Cox.
Here.
Madam Chairman, first thing is we received an email from Mark Mountain today stating that he is not able to be in attendance due to a medical situation, and so I believe you need to take a vote on whether he can participate remotely,
Before the roll call?
because then he would need to be activated.
Okay. Do I have a motion to allow Mark to participate due to medical emergency?
So moved.
Motion by Tom, second by Andy. Any discussion?
Didn't we denied this previously in a previous meeting, I believe, because he was seeking out a medical issue. Is that correct?
There was a denial at one point. I don't know if the circumstances are the same.
I think the last meeting we allowed it.
Last meeting we allowed him to. Yeah.
Well, that was just a hearing. So, just want to be consistent. That's all.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, we better do a roll call vote.
Okay. Andy Barber,
Yes.
Joey Cox,
No.
Don Foster,
No.
Lynn Fitter,
No.
Tom Lewis,
Yes.
Eric Ross,
No.
Jim Shepard,
Yes.
4 to 3.
So the motion fails?
Yes.
It was 4 to 3. Okay.
Yes, you said the motion failed.
Yes.
All right, everybody have a good evening.
Thanks, Mark.
So, Don Foster,
Here.
Rita Hoskins,
Here.
Lynn Fitter,
Yep.
Tom Lewis,
Here.
Mark Mountain, Eric Ross,
Here.
Jim Shepard.
Here, Madam Clerk.
Okay, item 4 is the approval of the previous month's regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Tom, second.
Second.
Second by Lance. Any discussion?
I have one item.
Don?
Last month,
And can you use the mic?
last month at this meeting, I was reading off the minutes to the Finance Committee, and Jim Shepard asked me a question. I was not able to answer it, and it kept bothering me. Finally, on the way home, I realized why I couldn't answer it. It's because Jim was blowing smoke and making noise, but it was number 11 where I read that off, and it was number 15 before we ever approved the numbers to go in there, so he could get the answer. On that one, we approved it. It went to the county clerk the next day. They paid the bills, then they entered the information. But I wasn't able to answer it, and it took me a while to figure out why. That's all.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Item 5, I would like to table this until possibly the February meeting or March. I spoke with Keisha Morris this morning. Walker has been talking with her about the intergovernmental agreement that the city of Pittsfield's proposing. One statement in the agreement said that what the interagency agreement would require an ordinance or a resolution on the part of the board and the city council before it could be effective. And I asked Walker and Keisha if they could just draft the ordinance or resolution, whatever they determine it should be in the end, and so we can handle everything at the same time. And so that's the plan right now. We'll come back to that at a future agenda. So that brings us to item 6, review and approval of petition to rezone or map amendment petition as per Article 9 of the Pike County zoning ordinance as it relates to a property located in the southeast quarter of Section 21, Township 7 South, Range 4 West, Pleasant Hill Township of the 4th Principal Meridian, Pike County, Illinois, being part of parcel number 74-035-04 near 12833 State Highway 96, Pleasant Hill 62366. The aforementioned property is requesting to be changed from an F1 floodplain district to a B2 highway business district for the proposed use of a retail facility. I'd like to ask Greg Wyatt to come up and start the discussion.
Thank you, and thank you to the entire board for your time. We already went through what the agenda is. What I would like to ask now is on the agent on behalf of the petitioner is Mr. Ryan Swanson from Art Design Resources. He would like to give his presentation. Then he can answer any of your questions, and then we will take it from there with public comment or whatever you seem fit.
Okay.
So I'd like to introduce Mr. Ryan Swanson.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I've got a few boards, just a brief presentation. I can show it here. These are the same materials that were shown to the zoning board as well. This is a good place here. I can turn them once we're done.
Turn it a little bit for them guys.
Okay. So it's still a little small probably. I can bring it down to 2 actually, if that makes it easier. Let's walk around. I might not be near the microphone. I'll try to talk loud. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. We're here for your consideration to rezone the parcel F1 floodplain district to B2 business highway district for purposes of operating a general retail store. It's an allowed use. It's not a special use. But we're here tonight for your consideration, at least for the rezoning. The existing site's undeveloped, is not floodplain. It's about 2.2 acres, located right here, just about a half mile south and east of the high school. If I need to talk louder, please let me know. I'll try to get the mics to pick me up. What we're proposing is about a 9,000 square foot.
Here's what I'm gonna recommend, because I work in here every day. If you could just go ahead and sit down.
Okay.
Or grab that. You gotta talk right into that mic, otherwise no one's gonna be able to hear you.
Okay. Should work. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. You see okay down there?
You're talking to a blind guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can bring it closer. All right, this hopefully is better. 9,000 square foot retail store located towards the south end. 30 parking spaces, really in front of the store, a driveway that heads up towards 96. Just walking around the site, we've got sidewalk in front of the store here. As you walk around, some more walk, and then this corner back here is for deliveries, and trash is tucked back here as well. Truck deliveries are intended to pull in the driveway, pull in here, and then back up. There's usually one truck from the distribution center a week, and occasionally a direct vendor delivery as well during the week. Access is proposed along 96, one access point. We're currently working with IDOT. Working with IDOT on the approvals. We've looked at sight distance in both directions, and it is adequate. IDOT does not require a traffic study. These aren't huge traffic generators in terms of just normal trips coming into the store and out of the store. Turn lanes and other improvements are not required by IDOT. So what you see here, the single access point and the widths are what they will allow. Another consideration we gave was to stormwater. This area up here is a detention basin. It's a dry basin, basically taking water from all of the pavement and roof and a storm sewer system for conveyance to the pond. It's also taking a majority of our frontage of our highway water just due to the nature of how the water runs off into the site. So we're collecting that as well. Again, that part's also under review by IDOT. A couple other things to mention in terms of zoning as it relates to the zoning. Lighting is usually a concern. These stores just have basically one parking lot light and then a few lights on the building itself. So lights contained within the site itself. Sound is sometimes a concern. Noise is really contained. Really, the extent of noise is from the HVAC units, and that falls off substantially once you get past the building. We know there's neighbors within about 250 feet of the corner of this parking lot, because you do have some noise from customers. That's about 250 feet, and then another 400 feet to another house from this corner of the store. Again, they won't hear any noise from the site. There's already a grain facility to the east. I assume they've got dryers. A lot of that mechanical stuff would be just as loud, if not louder, than the store operation. Those are not very loud. So sound falls off quickly from away from the store. It's not a nuisance to neighbors. I mentioned the detention signage. We're posing a septic field down in the corner here. That's what this is. The site has a lot of green space, open space. A lot of it's due to the septic system. Just trying to maintain virgin ground for that. The detention basin is fairly sizable. Show the grades. These lines on this plan represent 1 foot grade differences here, 1 foot drop in grade. So you can see a fairly good drop down the driveway here into the site. The building sits up higher than the surrounding field through here, and then detention kind of the hole right here. So a lot of this is grading, just open space, green space. The pond is not meant to be wet. It'll be mowed, just open turf area. So quite a bit of green space on the site, just because of the grades you can see quite a bit of grading through here. Specific to the zoning, let me jump back. We believe we meet the requirements of the zoning to zone to B2. The Plan Commission and the Zoning Board both voted to approve this recommendation, positive recommendation to the board here tonight. We would continue, I guess, contend that that's support and would like to continue your support to approve the rezoning. Happy to answer any questions. That's really the extent of my presentation for the board.
What's the elevation between the highway and the building?
The floor elevation is about 465. The highway is up at 475, so roughly 10 feet to the front door. From the highway to the front door is about 10 feet lower.
Have you addressed any concerns about citizens, customers of yours walking there?
We don't believe it's going to be highly trafficked from pedestrians. Due to the distance is about half a mile. So along that road, folks could walk along the road, but it's not, highly urbanized. So we figure a lot of folks will be driving or taking ATVs or what have you.
I still think you're going to have a lot of walking customers going there, and I'd be concerned about that. And then the other thing is, we're just doing on rezoning.
Correct.
You're not approving the building.
Correct.
No site, no permit.
Absolutely. That's correct.
And it's strictly just rezoning the property.
Yes. Yes. And we're just,
That'd be good for you.
and we're just, there's really nothing to hide. We feel the store brings benefits. So when we did the application, it's a, general retail, a general store. It's a modern day general store for a lot of small towns. And, we feel that this is a good site for that as well. So it is strictly rezoning. If you look at the facts in terms of stormwater runoff, traffic, sound, lighting, those elements that typically come into a zoning consideration, we feel that we meet those. And again, just because the use, like I said, we're not trying to hide anything. This is who it is, and the developer typically does this on their sites. And, like that's why I said we try to focus on the engineering and issues at hand for zoning.
I know we have individuals who wish to speak on this issue. I would say to folks, we have a sign-in sheet that Walker set up over here with this little podium. If you wish to speak on the issue. Also, is Mr. Holcomb here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You had contacted me, sir, asking to speak, so I thought we could start with you. And I am asking, we want to give everyone a chance to speak who wants to speak. If you could limit your comments, though, to no more than 3 minutes, we would really appreciate that. As you can see, we've got a full agenda tonight. And sir, if you can at least stay close, if you don't stay right there to,
Rob, here, I'll set you up over here, bud. Yes, sir.
there may be more questions for you as well.
Sure.
And
They're not sensitive. Yes, sir.
I would also ask if some of you are sign in to speak, and during the course of the evening you hear people saying the things that you wanted to say, we'll still have recorded that you were here, and if you want to reiterate things, you certainly have that ability to do so here. But if you feel like your position's already been made, then don't feel that a great volume needs to come up. But we do want to get everyone in. So I'll turn it to you for your remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Good evening. I have prepared a statement I'd like to read from, and I'll probably ad-lib a little bit if I can. I'm Rob Holcomb. My family and I operate Bob's Red Fox, the county's oldest grocery store. I am second generation to run the store. The zoning board has approved a zoning change to allow construction for a new business in the county, specifically at Pleasant Hill. I'm asking you to reconsider that change. I would appreciate you not approving it. I do realize the importance of a new business for property tax purposes, all the benefit that would come from additional businesses on the tax rolls. I know that, but I ask at what cost. It's been historically proven to be devastating to small mom and pop businesses in a community. The Institute of Local Self-Reliance has 2 articles stating different statistics supporting this document, and the USDA has also researched in rural area food deserts, Dollar General has caused small businesses to close usually within 5 years. Look at our county. If I remember right as a kid, there was a grocery store in all the towns, or several towns years ago. Right now there's 3. Myself, Stromer's, and County Market. I know Mike and Jenny Stromer. I've spoke to them. I know how hard it is to work to keep a business open in the community. I know what it takes to survive. The biggest difference between our store and their store is the number of jobs available in the community. Pleasant Hill doesn't have that many jobs. Our biggest employer is the school, followed that by the farm service businesses. When you take away the small businesses, you also lose the community support. We've poured thousands of dollars into the community economy, supporting different causes throughout the past. We try to do as best we can with everybody that comes to ask for a donation. Although our numbers are down right now, we've had as many as 9 on our staff. Again, local folks helping us out. The money stays local. If you delete us from the equation, will a big business chain replace us? I don't think so. Many have come forward to support us as we have started this, and we are very humbled by it. There was a large crowd at the zoning board committee hearing. Most of them spoke, and no one spoke in support of a Dollar General in our community. I know there are rules to be followed on zoning, but public support should also be considered. In the short time since the zoning board committee meeting, we started a petition to show support of denying this request and received very good feedback. My daughter has more information on the numbers on that. I would like to close by saying that I was born here and I was raised literally in that building. Just a second of history. My dad built a building on that property in 1950, in the 50s. We suffered loss by fire in 76. I really wasn't wanting to bring this up, but I feel like I must. I understand Mr. Wright's dilemma just down the street. But the community support after that building went down was the first time, and I would have been 8 years old at the time, was the first time I saw how the Pike County community is. We had volunteers come to help clean us up, and with their rallying and their support, we were back in business within a year and a half. I took over the building from my dad, and his health was failing. My family and I have stayed in the community since then. I've raised 2 kids in the community. We've stayed here and plan to continue to do so. I would welcome any new business to the area, but as long as they offer to better the community. And I don't think this is something that Dollar General offers. Thank you all for your time.
Okay. And I apologize. I'll do the best I can with the handwriting and our copy machine, but another Holcomb? I apologize. I couldn't make out the first name.
I have horrible handwriting. Okay, so I'm Courtney Holcomb, Michael's daughter. After the zoning hearing, we were floored by the support from our community. We wanted to make sure that they were heard properly for this meeting, so we created a petition opposing the rezoning for the floodplain property. Online and in person, community members provided signatures and resident status and had the opportunity to comment. In order to get a general understanding of where the support was coming from, we categorized the resident status into 3 groups, either Pleasant Hill Township, Nebo Township, or the other surrounding communities. We received 238 signatures. However, after reviewing the names and comments, we chose to exclude 8 of them. 4 names were duplicates from the online petition. 3 names commented in favor of the rezoning, and 1 did not provide a last name. So we wanted to make sure that the data we gave was accurate and fair, and we excluded those names from our final total. In only 6 days, we had 230 signatures against the rezoning to build a Dollar General. 100 residents from Pleasant Hill, 25 from Nebo, and 105 concerned citizens in the neighboring areas quickly voiced their concerns in outright opposition to the Dollar General being constructed. Many took the time to write thoughtful comments about how our store has supported them or their families, and I hope that the board will consider our community's efforts in their decision and deny this rezone. Thank you.
And again, is it Gary Roderick, maybe? Or am I? Jerry Rodhouse. Jerry, I'm sorry.
My writing, Madam Chairman,
Well, couple that with my eyes and,
they'll take it at the bank, at Bob's store, I know. I'm Jerry Rodhouse, a retired farmer, 3 miles west of the store that we're talking about. I've been fortunate, raised out there on that farm, close to Pleasant Hill, when there was eight grocery stores in Pleasant Hill, as well as many other things. And I was also raised by a man that, and a family that believed in community service and working in the community. And I setting up, I don't hear very good, Madam Chairman, but I was thinking, this is my 65th year of being fortunate enough to work with the public. This is the first time that I've had to speak publicly of something that wasn't positive for the community of Pleasant Hill and the county of Pike. I've worked with the RCND, Resource Conservation and Development. I stood as their state chairman as well as the chairman of the Two Rivers. I was the chairman of Pike County Economic Development Corporation. Many years on the Farm Bureau Board, and as their president, I worked with the Bradshaws and many of some of these people here up front that with their fathers for the good of Pike County. And this is the first time this year. This is the second time. I was there last week at the meeting, and it's the first time I speak of something that was not something that was positive for our community. Those kids are doing a wonderful job. They've got it. They've got everything that we need. And there's a few things. Yes, I've purchased from County Market. I go across the river to the Y to exercise. I'll pick up stuff there. But the store is the main place that we purchase. And there's a lot of people that can't get out of that community. And Robbie and the family, I have to call them family because all the kids that work there are family. They're not married into the family, but they're family people. I don't know if Jack knows what that is. So if they're challenged in the number of things that they sell, that's only going to cut into the bottom line. And everything that Robbie and Sheila make stays in our county, stays in our community. I don't think all the stuff that the funds that goes into another store will stay in our area. And we need that store in Pleasant Hill, folks. I don't care whatever it takes. I'm very sorry that I have to come up to speak to this fine group, but it is not something positive for Pleasant Hill and Pike County. Thank you.
George Webster.
Sure, a fine-looking bunch of gentlemen there. I know it. My name is George Webster. I live on 96, and I'm a landowner where this store's wanting to go in there right across the track. And down there, I'll be 89 come April, and I've been on farming that ground. I own quite a bit of ground down there. Watched the new bridge go in, and it's give you some points on it. I think it's a very, from an agriculture point, a poor place to be. I don't know if you've looked at the bank, it comes off. You come out of the Nebo Road, you're gonna hit the traffic this way, all the grain from Bellevue, that comes down there and goes up to Cargill and Maridoche and on up there. And then we got the feed mill that's there, right post, trucks coming in and out. And I've traveled with combines and tools ever since I was 15 years old. My dad died when I was 13, and when I got to be 15, I worked for started working down there for Merle Benz, and I ended up marrying his daughter. So anyway, the outlay of it's terrible to where it's at. Kenny Howe did, well, maybe you remember in the paper when he come off of Nebo and went inside the grain bin, and you've got on the mill down there, you can only come out one way, and what I see is a whole bunch of bottleneck traffic. And see, when the one that put the new bridge in there, they was gonna fill it up in the middle. You cannot see from one hump to another. And you come up there and there's gonna be lines of traffic there. I'll guarantee you, you're gonna have a lot of accidents. There's not room. They're gonna have to do a lot of earth work to get it down there. And by the way, I dug the ditches, Crooked Sioux drains all out. I still own that ground right below it, quite a ways down, but I don't know what else to say, but I definitely would never even consider it. You lay your head down on the bed tonight, think about some blood, because you're gonna shed it down there. I've traveled that road in and out, and it's hard. You can't believe in the fall, you got trucks coming everywhere. And what they'll do, I'm not always so much what they might do now, but what are they gonna do next? When they built the bridge, they were to level that out so you can see over. That didn't happen. So I just think it's a real poor idea. I wouldn't even consider it. That's my say about it.
Thank you, sir.
Julie, is it Crane? Okay. And after that is Rose Richards, after Julie.
My name is Julie Crane, and I live right across from where the property is, across 96. And where they're going to put the entrance is like right across from my entrance. And I'm like George, you're gonna have a lot of traffic there from Vinfiz Road, 96, the grain trucks, the grain equipment, and you're gonna have kids probably trying to walk down there during the lunch hour, freshmen, sophomores that don't have their license. And I'm opposed to having the noise, the lights. I bought that place where I live to be in the country. And I don't want to look out my nice window and see a Dollar General sign, the lights, the traffic there. I just think it's a bad idea. And Robbie Holcomb, the grocery store's been there forever. Everybody tries to support it. And Robbie himself has delivered groceries. He has also given many thousands of dollars worth of meat and other products to support our high school, grade school, the softball, football teams, the baseball teams, for the concession stands. They have gone over and above for our community and donates when he can or sells at cost when he can. And if you get a Dollar General in there, it's gonna be no time where he'll probably have to shut the doors. That's what we're gonna miss. And I would suggest that 96 is not really a high-traffic business area. Why not go over on Highway 54 where you do have, Atlas, Summerhill, New Hartford, where there are no businesses, so to speak. You do have Apples, but there's no grocery store there. Supply them in that area, and you still have your county income coming in. But all that's gonna do is, I'm like with George, a lot of wrecks that's gonna happen. And I had looked out my window where we've had 4 or 5 inches of rain, and that field will be flooded down there. Now, it goes away pretty quick, but it is flooded. And I don't think they're gonna be able to control that and with as low as that is down there. So that's all I have to say. And just reconsider your zoning, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Rose? And then after that is Kim, and I know we emailed each other this afternoon, but I'm not going to try your last name, I'll let you say it. You're next after, and then that is the last person that's signed up.
Madam Chair, residents, or members of the board, I'm gonna make it really quick because a lot of people have already said everything that I have said. I've emailed each of you this past week with my personal thoughts. Last week, Julie Crane and I, along with the neighbors, and that's who I'm speaking for tonight, who wasn't able to be here. We sat at their tables. We sat at George and Merlene's table. We sat at Merlin Winchell's table. We sat with Kevin McKinnon. We sat with the Talaferros. Those are your adjoining landowners. And with their asking, I helped them write that formal petition that we filed with the county clerk's office today, or Friday. They really wanted to make sure that you knew that they're not opposed to new business coming to Pleasant Hill. They're just opposed to the type of business coming to Pleasant Hill. They're not our neighbors. They're not, if any of you guys came to Pleasant Hill and said, I want to open a grocery store, a hardware store, we would support you because you are one of us. You are a hometown business owner at that point. You would support, you would put the money back into our town and our county, just like Rob does, just like Karen does. We hear a lot of talking about Rob's store, but there's also a hardware store in Pleasant Hill that gives back to the community, who does fundraisers with the schools, just like Rob and Sheila does. Whenever fires happen, she's there right along with Rob and Sheila to make sure that your family is fed today and tomorrow until you get something in place. Unfortunately, Dollar General is just not going to do that for us. If you were a person who had a devastating fire or a tragic loss of a loved one, and you are scrambling and you don't know where you're going to feed your kids for today, tomorrow, but you know you have the support of your community and someone like Sheila and Rob and Karen to be there for you and help you feed your family tonight. Make sure you have a place to stay tonight. Support you, not just with groceries or not with the things that I offer in my store, but also they would donate to you to make sure you were taken care of. And that is what the community and the people that live adjacent to this property. Also, they're talking about the lights and the safety issue. This gentleman thinks that no one's gonna walk there. He just doesn't know our community. That a lot of our vulnerable people in our town don't have a vehicle to get to where they need to go if they need a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread. They're gonna take to that highway. Our kids during lunch or after school are gonna take to that highway and go down there. And that's just not a risk that I think is worth taking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Rignaris. It's a fun name. My students, I've had them call me Reggie because they were not even gonna attempt that. So I am new to the community. I've recently moved as of June. I've fallen in love with Pleasant Hill and what it could be, what it has the potential to be. So I have a few things just to say. And I know you know this. I know that you are intimately aware with the zoning ordinance, but Article 1, Section 1.1, these regulations are intended to protect existing property against adverse adjacent uses and to be the foundation for the process of improving the physical environment, promoting the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare, conserving the value of property through the county, lessening or avoiding congestion on public highways, roads, and streets, and lessening or avoiding hazards to persons and damage to property resulting from the accumulation of runoff of storm or floodwaters. Also, the authorized uses within each zoning district are intended to encourage the development of the district's optimum potential. And these are the minimum requirements. I know it's been talked about. I'm going to touch on a few things, and I hope to do it rather quickly, not to be verbose. One of the things that I noted in the site plan is the runoff on the southwest section, specifically related to the sewer. There's no indication that that particular runoff is going to go into the detention basin. I do have a concern because.
No, I'm just thinking that's a septic.
Yes, sorry, but there is the sewer water, the water runoff for the detention basin, and then you have the septic system that the developer is going to install. So my concern is that that runoff is not going into the basin, it's going into where the sewer is located. So I would highly recommend that if you choose to accept this rezone, that when it goes through site plan approval, that you would have the public health really look at what is the implication of this potential runoff going directly to that septic system. The other is it's a zone change from, and I know it's been said countless times that this is just kind of a general F1 designation for that area. If it was a general designation for F1, it would have been zoned as agricultural, but it wasn't because it is in close proximity to a floodplain. While it does not, it is Zone X and it is non-hatched Zone X, it is still very close to an existing floodplain that is protected by the levees that are in place. And as you've heard from many of the property owners, and again, I knew, but they have indicated they have seen time after time that particular area will flood. So I have concerns that the detention basin will actually be able to handle that particular runoff. If it cannot, and then it goes into the adjacent property owners that is zoned currently F1, you are then affecting, which if you go back to the zoning ordinance, it is very focused on agriculture. That is what this community is. You are affecting the land that is right next to it. The other thing I want to point out is I know that there has been conversations with IDOT. If you look at the traffic that IDOT has counted, the average daily traffic, it is 1,350 from 96 to 10 going into Pleasant Hill. So that's the average daily traffic that's going back and forth. If you come off of Highway 10, it is 725. That's cars. If you go from 10 to 96 heading towards the opposite direction going away from Pleasant Hill, you're also going to hit 725. The average daily traffic for trucks is 200. So while a traffic impact study may not be required from IDOT because the developer themselves may have looked at the calculations that are put there and said, no, it's not going to generate at least 100 daily additional traffic patrons per day. The county does have the opportunity to, and forgive me, I'm flooding. So local agencies per IDOT may still require a memo or traffic analysis depending on project's complexity. So again, if you do say, hey, you know what, we're going to go ahead with the rezone, I would beg of you in that site plan approval that you require them to go to IDOT. And this is not, they will pay for it. As the developer, it is not an onus on the county, but you can require them to go back and say, hey, I don't think this is safe. As I mentioned when I came in, I was a teacher. I taught at a very rural school. There was a Dollar General, a half mile less from the school, and those students were going there. They were ditching classes to go there. They were going. Any student that didn't have a car would walk there. So again, going back to that zoning ordinance and going back to what you are here for in protecting that community, you're here to protect the safety. So I would also request that you take that into consideration. I think that's going to be it. One last thing that I want to end on. You were working with the city of Pittsfield to do an interagency agreement. because the city of Pittsfield also has concerns about the proximity of development within 1.5 miles of their zone, their jurisdiction. Take into consideration that it is less than 1.5 miles in proximity to Pleasant Hill. So these people that are here, that are voicing their opinions, that have shared their concerns, these are the people that is drastically affecting, so.
Okay, that is the last request we have to speak. Let me say at this point, I will ask for a motion on the petition, but I want to point out that there was a protest filed on this, which means that it requires a 3/4 vote to pass. And that means 7 members of the board, and there are 8 of us here tonight. So we'll do, if there is a motion on this issue, then we will do a roll call vote, and it will require 7 to pass. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Lance, motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Don.
Don?
I'll second it.
Okay, second from Don. Any other discussion? Any other questions?
What are we voting on?
To approve the petition
To rezone.
to rezone. And I would, if Lance and Don are all right with it, we can word the language just as it is on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Natalie, call the roll.
Joey Cobb,
No.
Don Foster,
No.
Rita Hoskin,
No.
Lance Pickard,
No.
Tom Lewis,
Nope.
Derek Ross,
No.
Jim Shepherd,
No.
Andy Brown.
No.
Think we can do that, man?
Okay. The motion fails. I thank everyone for coming and for speaking. And everyone, of course, is welcome to stay for our whole meeting. If you are leaving at this point, I'd encourage you to make use of the space beyond those doors if folks want to talk things over. And we will move on to item 7. We have 2 gentlemen here from the Hope Trust. If you'll come up to the table and remind folks again to use the mics. I'll let you both introduce yourselves if that's all right, and they have a handout for the board members. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I can read it, I still can't read it.
All right, good evening. My name is Jason Booth, and I am here with Jacob Jansen from Snedeker Risk Management, the program administrator for the Hope Trust, which is the county's source of employee health benefits coverage. We're here tonight primarily to present Pike County's share of the dividend payment to Hope Trust participating employers as approved by the executive board and announced to the membership at last year's annual meeting. So I believe, first and foremost, on that point, Jacob has a check here for $16,380. So we'll make sure that Scott's still in the room or around here, make sure that he gets the check. We also have a handout here to share with the board that provides an updated version of one that we ran for you all back in August, showing year-over-year rating and plan performance history for Pike County, specifically within the Hope Trust. So if I could have just a quick couple minutes, I wanted to share a few points about that and what it means in the context of what the dividend means in the context of the county's participation in the Hope Trust. Pike County joined the Hope Trust January 1st, 2017, coming off of, I believe, decades of standalone self-insurance, which we worked with the county on at the time as well. Your plan as a self-insured plan provided you a lot of great risk potential, but also a lot of reward potential over those years. Experienced volatility, and at the time that you all came to the Hope Trust, the plan was expected to exceed $1.3 million in total costs going into 2017. As I recall, that was the high water mark for that plan at the time. So the shift to the Hope Trust occurred with a goal of preserving benefit levels longer and achieving some degree of overall cost stabilization. At the time of your standalone self-insured plan termination, you did experience run-out claims liability of expense of around $310,000. So when you ended that plan, over the course of the next year, you still had additional claims to pay to basically run down that prior health plan. Looking at the multi-year chart that we have here, you can see that Pike County's contributions, about halfway down the page, you'll see a performance line, and it says contributions paid in. So on that line, you can see that your contributions, this is through a combination of the employer and the employees, ran at around 1 to 1.2 million all the way from 2017 through and including 2023. Only approaching and then exceeding 1.3 million in 2024 and after. That's not including any employer-funded HSA contributions or costs for health reimbursement arrangement or employer risk-sharing layer expenses that you may have incurred. But it is worth noting too that the HRA, which was later replaced by the employer risk-sharing layer, the expenses associated with that have gone down significantly, particularly since around 2021 and after. So from an overall cost stability standpoint, the Hope Trust is a success for Pike County in our view, despite the county's unfortunate luck and experience in terms of its own claims during much of that history. As the chart shows, your average change to billed rates over that period have been single-digit percentages, under 10%. Yes, some years went up, some years went down, but that's been the average, has been single-digit, under 10%. That's shown at the right of the page in that sort of yellow-orange column. At the end of the day, with any insurance-type product, including pooling, you cannot have a situation where entities pay in $1 and consistently take out $1.05, $1.10, $1.20 or more. That can happen some of the time, of course, but you also need folks who pay in $1 and take out 70 cents, 80 cents, or 90 cents to offset those who are experiencing greater need and having more risk. It's a fundamental principle of insurance and risk pooling. While the Hope Trust has been able to soften the sharp edges during the unusual years or difficult years by pooling Pike County's risk with others, you also have to be priced according to your risk as a fundamental matter of fairness and cooperation with your fellow units of government. Thus, pricing has been adjusted for Pike County more in recent years, but still on the whole, the single-digit percentages overall for that period. So quite good in our view, considering the loss history and knowing that medical inflation often outpaces general economic inflation over time. In one sign of some good news, you'll see on here that over the 9-year period, while the loss ratio exceeds 106%, meaning for every dollar you paid in, the program paid out more than $1.06, it has improved to just under 102% over the last 3 years and around 96% over the last 2 years. So things are improving as far as the performance of the group. And your most recent performance history is what matters most to rates going forward. So we do remain hopeful that Pike County is getting to a point where even greater cost stability is possible. But we will, of course, need to see how this year plays out over the coming months. As we referred earlier with the example of paying in $1 and taking out some other amount, what we generally want to see is a group experience a loss ratio of 85 to 90% or lower at least some of the time. Not consistently, not year in, not year out, but at least some of the time. And when you look at this history here, 2024 was the only year thus far where that's happened. But again, things are moving in the right direction incrementally, but they are moving in the right direction. So the big picture here, Hope Trust has protected Pike County by stabilizing your cost trajectory and also improving upon benefits for the employees and their families over that time and becoming increasingly cost efficient with innovative plan designs, competitive medical provider contracting, best-in-class drug pricing. Healthcare is not cheap, as we all know, but through the strength of pooling, there is no question that Pike County and its employees and their families have been protected and able to maintain robust benefits for far longer, in our view, than otherwise would have been likely had you continued to go it alone as you were nearly a decade ago. It is precisely because of that intergovernmental cooperation through the Hope Trust with your fellow counties, cities, and schools, much like riding aboard an ocean liner in the stormy seas of healthcare versus going in alone on a dinghy. With the go-it-alone approach, you might be able to make it through a large wave or two, but at some point, you will likely get taken down. To circle back around to the main point that we're here for, the dividend presentation, this may seem like a drop in the bucket compared to your overall health plan cost for the year. We understand that. $16,000 is nothing compared to your total health care budget. But it is not meant to be a cure for all the ails that may arise in the budget, nor is it possible for us to defy reality and make the cost of health care coverage magically cut in half. If someone does tell you that they can do that, they are likely setting you up for a harsh and painful experience down the road. So the point of this dividend is to provide a symbol to you all of what can be achieved through intergovernmental cooperation. Serves as a token of appreciation to Pike County for its participation and loyalty to its fellow counties, cities, and schools who also participate in the program. And we want to thank you for being part of the trust. We look forward to continuing our relationship with you all and hopefully for many years to come. If you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to address that. Otherwise, we appreciate your time and hope that the funds will be of use for the county.
What happened in 2018?
So in 2018,
Between 2018 and 2019, it looks like there's a drastic drop. Looks like some rates were almost reset.
oh, I see, on the rate portion, okay.
What percentage of the rates?
Yes, yeah, and that's right. I mean, some years, most of, as is true with most health insurance or health benefits, most of the years rates have gone up varying levels, but there was a reduction then. I can't recall specifically what happened in that year. It could be that there was a shift in plan options. As I noted earlier, the county's health plans have, for most of these years, maybe not all of them, have been paired with an employer-funded health reimbursement arrangement, which later converted to a risk-sharing layer. And the point of that is to take pressure off of the contribution rates. And so if you look halfway down the page in the performance section, the contributions paid in line, those are basically your regular premiums. You get a list bill each month showing who's covered under what plan and what tier. That's what that amount is referring to. The next line, employer risk-sharing payments, stop-loss reimbursements, and prescription drug rebates. These are other revenue items that can count against your expenses. The employer risk-sharing portion, I can tell you that over the years, as I mentioned, that has gone down quite a bit. I believe last year the county's risk-sharing payments were around $22,000 for 2025. Looking back at other recent prior years, it was in the $20,000 to $30,000 range, going all the way back to 2021. Prior to that was when it was higher, maybe $90,000 for a few years, and then 6 digits back in 2018, 17. And so a big part of that is the development of the Hope Trust direct contract network of medical providers, which largely came about around 2021 and after. And so the county only shares in the risk on claims when employees make use of what are called Tier 2 standard or Tier 3 out of contract providers. So to the extent that they go to the Tier 1 preferred, the county doesn't get any additional risk-sharing bills or in the past any HRA claim bills. And in this part of the state, most, the employees are hard pressed to not have preferred Tier 1 options available to them. So what we've seen since the development of that tiering system, which started in 2021, you'll see the green there, that tiering system, we've seen a dramatic reduction in the county's risk-sharing obligations from that point on. No, well, but that's all, that line includes other items. So the risk sharing isn't, it's a minority of what those figures are. Stop loss reimbursements are also in that line. So stop loss comes into play if you have particularly high dollar claimants. Reinsurance reimbursements get credited to the plan, and then prescription drug rebates as well. So when we look at 2025, for example, shows 726,000, 22,000 of that came from the county. The rest of that is from reinsurance reimbursements and prescription drug rebates credited to your account on your behalf. Claims expenses for the 25-year, $2.3 million. As you can see, looking back over the years, it is the highest year that we've seen for Pike County. So 25 was a tough year, and the good thing is, at least, when we last sent this sheet to the county back in August, it was looking like it would be worse than this. It was projected to be, if I recall, around 115 to 117% loss ratio. So in the latter portion of the year, things did improve, at least from a money in versus money out standpoint. But it's, still not in an ideal spot. But
That's fine. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I was confused on why you'd have such a drastic reduction when they didn't hit their goal in a year, like they had 117%.
yeah, I think that was prompted by the insurance committee and the board at the time making some plan option adjustments purposely to try to reduce cost. Yeah, you bet. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. With working with our auditors, we're running into a situation where we need to be accounting for liabilities more specifically. And so when we discussed this last year regarding potentially switching, and then we were informed that it would cost us about $500,000 in run-out claims. I will request again, how do we go about getting our monthly IBNR to see what we're incurring but not paying, so we can then report accurately to the auditors what liability our county has in the event that we switch, the trust goes under, which they self-funded pools have done that.
Sure.
So we are supposed to be carrying a liability on a possibility of something happens, and I don't see where we get that number. So how do we go about getting that money?
Sure. So as you know, under the terms of the intergovernmental agreement, when a participating employer exits, they are responsible for, over the course of the following year, 12 installments that amount to the estimated incurred but not reported claims liability that exists for them at the time of termination. It's an estimate. What happens then over the course of that following year, as the actual claims are paid, there is then a settlement process to either credit money back to you or to seek additional funds if for some reason the estimate was insufficient. As far as coming up with the amount, that is it's something that we don't recalculate on a regular basis. If a group is expressing an interest in terminating, or if the decision has been made, that's a number that we can come up with a rough estimate, say, at any time that it's requested. But if the termination is actually going to happen, that will get firmed up the closer we get to that December time period. And then sometime in December, we'll settle on a final number based on everything that's happened up to that point. Again, it's an estimate, acknowledging that, so that you'll know what, what the termination liability installment amount would be for the next year. If for some reason it's overestimated, again, you'll be made whole. Additional funds will be refunded back to you. In the past, when participating employers have left the trust, we've had, I think, is it three over the years. There's one that's currently ongoing at right now, but the ones that happened in the past, the estimate was reasonably close. We didn't have to ask for additional funds, but funds were refunded to those entities because it was in excess. So if that's something that the county would like to have as far as a estimate as to what the IBNR liability associated with your group is at a certain point, if you're wanting to prepare financial statements for the county and include that in there, we would be happy to provide that as of a certain date. But if it's relating specifically to your planned termination, and that actually, is the action of the board to terminate, we will work to firm that up as we get closer to that actual termination date, so that we can be as accurate as possible, because it will fluctuate. As I mentioned earlier, when we last shared this sheet in August with data through July, these numbers looked a lot different. And so at the time, that is what informed the rough estimate of IBNR at that point of around $500,000. Based on the fact that things did improve through the end of the year, I've not recalculated it, we've not looked at that, but I would suspect that number would have gone down since then. How much, who knows? Probably in the 350 to 450 range, somewhere in that area. It is going to fluctuate with every passing month of experience. So it's not a fixed target. It is an estimate as of one particular point in time. But we'd be happy to provide that if the county would need that for its financial statement preparations as of a certain date.
Any other questions? Thank you both for coming.
All right, thank you
Appreciate it.
guys. And we'll be in touch as some regional meetings that we have coming up in our annual meeting, and hope that some of you folks will be able to attend those in the coming year.
All right.
Thank you.
And Scott's right behind you there.
Need that check.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Item 8, discuss and/or approve sickage statement of work for 2026. I believe Natalie has this in your packets. You'll remember last year we approved the letter of engagement with sickage. This is separate from the one with Lauterbach for the audit. But this document basically sets forward the rates for the current year. Do I have a motion to approve the statement of work? Motion by Tom, second by Derek. Any discussion?
What's the addendum about?
And does everyone have it? Mine's a little mixed up in my packet, which I may have done myself.
Okay.
Without having last year's, are we changing the audit procedure as far as accounting? Is my question.
What's the procedure, Jim? What procedure?
Well, it says this is an addendum to specifically, we will focus on the following. Assist with preparation of audit work papers on a cash basis in coordination with Pike County representatives and advise the county and provide assistance with the conversion to a modified accrual/accrual basis of accounting. So, I mean, I just want to make, I mean, we're accrual right now. I don't know that we're modified accrual, but are we changing anything with the accounting procedures?
We are making some changes. I don't believe that things have always been consistent between cash and accrual. I think they found some instances and are working to correct those and try to get us set up so we're in better situation going
What
forward.
exactly are we changing?
At this point, I don't know that we have actual modifications lined out.
So we may change? I'm more confused than when I first asked.
I believe we're going to make changes. I think those changes are still being discussed.
But is that a finance issue, or is that the treasurer leading this one, or where is this coming from?
Scott's been involved in discussions. Natalie, has your office?
No, yeah, this is the first that I'm hearing about any of that, so that's why we talked about it in finance, and I haven't been involved in anything as far as how our accounting is going.
I wish I could remember specifically the last situation we discussed. Don or Derek, do you remember?
So the last conversation that I had, specific on trying to clean some stuff up, is one of the things that we talked about were balance sheets and actually having balance sheets generated out of CIC, or at least keeping track of those liabilities and assets. So under the accrual basis, that would be things that you incurred as an expense in one year, but they may not get paid until the other. And so you would still go ahead and expense them in that prior year. And I think that's what kind of period 13 is supposed to be doing. But until just saying this and until looking, or not actually looking at what's happening, I would have bet $100 that we were on a cash basis. So Mr. Shepard's saying that we're on an accrual basis. So now we've got two conflicting. It just doesn't make any sense. And if we're an accrual basis, then that would mean that we are carrying forward bills that we're incurring in, we'll say 2025, but then we wouldn't know and how to expense those out if they get paid in May of 2026. And I just didn't believe that we were doing that. I thought that if we didn't expense something in the fiscal year that we were doing it, and then we expense it in the later year, that would follow under a cash basis concept more so than an accrual. So, but as was referenced in the finance meeting, and we'll talk about that in a bit, there is accrued payroll that's out there. I know that we have to carry as a liability, which was what we just talked about with the health insurance. We have to carry liability for pension stuff under IMRF, even though we don't have an obligation to it. We still have to spend 25 pages of it in our audit. One of the other ones that was brought up was compensation that's owed. So for that would be your accumulated time off and sick time and stuff like that. So there are liabilities that we have out there that we would carry as a liability, but wouldn't be expensed, and you wouldn't generate two different tax years. So I do not have a definitive answer on what this is about, except that I know that there were some questions specifically on cash and accrual, but I, until this very moment, would have said we were on a cash basis, just on how we pay things and how we expense them out. So I'm with Mr. Shepherd. I guess I'm more confused now than I would have been before this question was asked. So I just have to email Anna or Lauterbach and ask them what this is meaning. But I think I do agree that there's some conflicting tracking within our system, that part of it we may be tracking as accrual and other parts we may be tracking as cash. So I don't have an answer.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to reach out to her to clarify if you'd like me to do that. And I apologize, I know there's been a recent specific example that I was involved in a discussion about, and it's just not coming to my brain, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm gonna say, I've always known that we all think in a cash basis, because that's the way we operate. If there's no money in the checking account, we don't write a check, unless you're my ex-wife. Anyway, but as far as our audits have always been accrual, that's why there is that huge liability for pensions. That whole, again, that's that whole section in there, because that's the way they're done. And that's why I was like, are we changing? Because that's going to be, I mean, and I don't know CIC. I've been using QuickBooks for 25 years. I just toggle a switch between cash and accrual, and it refigures my balance sheets, it refigures my cash flow statements. I go from one to the other. I run reports each way every week. So it's not a big deal to me. But if you don't know what you're entering in, you know, you can theoretically screw something up. But I mean, I run sales and accrual, but I run my day-to-day for cash. So I just, when I see that we're, you know, that this is an addendum, which I'm assuming if it's an addendum, it's talking about changes, that we are changing something within our account, that they're going to assist us with our accounting system. And I just thought I'd ask what we were doing.
So do we need to get an answer before we vote on this?
Yes.
I'm fine with me.
If that will not, my only question now is, as long as it doesn't slow the work.
Yeah, that's my concern. Is I don't think, I mean, from what I see, it's still going to be the same rates.
Yeah,
We're not going to approve changing our accounting procedures just because it says in our contract that we would pay them that much to do that. So I would say, I don't know. I think we're more just approving the rates than, I don't think none of that language on the addendum is binding in my eyes.
And I don't know, it could have been there last year and I didn't notice. And that's, so, I mean, I won't do anything that would slow down this backlog.
Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Lance. Second by Derek.
You already got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were in
I'm sorry.
discussion.
We were in discussion. Sorry. Okay, any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, committee reports. Derek, Finance?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I apologize, I was not at the meeting. The Finance Committee was called to order at 4 p.m. on January 21st, 2026 at the Pike County Government Building. It was publicly announced it was being recorded. Committee members Don Foster, Lance Kendrick were present in person. Derek Ross was absent. Rita Hoskins, Natalie Roseberry, Scott Circle, Walker Filbert, and others were also present in person. Under the 2025-2026 budget discussion, Rita Hoskins mentioned that there was a virtual meeting held with CIC regarding reports and clarification of what information is available through CIC. Natalie Roseberry stated that her office made changes to the fiscal year 2026 budget initially entered into CIC per Walker Filbert's opinion. Rita Hoskins mentioned that changes being made in CIC do not match what the public sees on the website. She expresses concerns that some can change budget numbers in the system, but they do not match what the public sees. This discussion will continue at the next month's meeting. Under 2022 audit update and preliminary findings, Scott Circle stated that Liz from CIC and Dawn in the treasurer's office were working on adjustments that were needed in CIC for audits to continue. Natalie explained that accrued payroll on the 2022 preliminary audit pages 7 and 10 meant that time on the books owed to employees like vacation time and sick time owed if they quit the next day. She also expressed concerns about CIC working in the CIC system to make corrections or adjustments needed to get 1 year rolled over to the next. Natalie said she is legally responsible for a portion of that software, the budget side of it. Rita said she has asked that the 2022 final audit be ready to present and approve at the February board meeting. Don Foster mentioned that the county was back on the do not pay list since the 2022 audit has not been submitted. Natalie indicated that where she was looking in mid-December, it didn't appear that the county was ever removed from it. It was further mentioned about Walker checking on the status, but it was concluded that he was no longer handling those particular matters. The discussion turned to the status of grant applications and who is supposed to handle checking the status on them. Rita said that she would work with all involved to determine what's needed next. Under financial policy update, Director Ross has put together a preliminary index for the financial policies and forwarded it to the full board for review and comments. It is in part based on the financial policies adopted by other counties that Natalie had provided. An update will be discussed at the next meeting. Under Paycom payroll, or CIC Paycom payroll, Rita said that a conversation was had with CIC about getting updated quotes on taking payroll back over. Natalie said that we can continue the conversations, but she is not switching back. Under fee study analysis, last change board approval, Natalie said that she unfortunately hadn't had time or made much progress under the fee study because of the numerous FOIA requests that occurred recently. Since the meeting last month, one request has asked for audits back to 2000 and another has asked for copies of about 800 emails between Rita and herself. Natalie also brought up how she must make a new website for the county clerk that is ADA compliant. The initial cost so far is $3,500. Natalie agreed that she is paying for that. Under fund balances for expenses and payroll, sufficient funds to cover payroll expenses, Don confirmed with Scott that the county was in a good shape for this month. Under old business, there was none. Under new business, Rita meant to bring up during the audit discussion about the difference in budgeted amounts compared to actual amounts and whether truth in taxation should have been held. Natalie asked for clarification of what years Rita was referring to and began to explain the 105% rule and the difference between estimated and actual EAV. Don Foster said he was working on his own study of past budgets and wanted EAV numbers. Natalie said he was welcome to come to her office and get the information. Under public comments, Walker Filbert stated he had filed a motion to dismiss regarding the suit brought by local citizens, Ms. Hashman. The hearing is set for February 18th. Walker also said that the judge found he does not have a conflict of interest in representing the county in this case. He also mentioned that he has not heard from the IRS or the FBI, but understands the complaint was filed with the governor's internal affairs that has been passed on to Illinois State Police. He has not heard from them either. There was a lengthy discussion or conversation regarding the Open Meetings Act. The summary was that if 3 or more board members, which is a quorum of the majority of the board, are discussing county business, the discussion is subject to OMA. This clarification arose from recent discussions with auditors and CIC and how many board members were on the call. Walker also added that if 2 board members are on a call and then start texting a 3rd board member regarding the discussion, that would be a violation of OMA. Rita thanked Walker for the clarification. Natalie asked if Rita had received the information regarding the Hope Trust being put on the agenda to present a dividend check. Rita said she had. Under review approval of monthly bills, Lance Kendrick made a motion, seconded by Don Foster, to pay bills totaling $68,307.13. Motion passed. Sorry, I forgot to put that in. Lance Kendrick made a motion, Don Foster seconded to adjourn. Motion passed, and the meeting adjourned at 4:49 p.m.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I would make that motion with the addition of the correction about the motion passing.
Okay. Motion by Jim is corrected, second by Lance. Any discussion? Don?
in that $68,307.13 was also some period 13 bills. And at what point do we cut those off?
December 31st.
Okay.
That's statute.
Well, there was one marked period 13.
I think he's talking about the kind of period 13 bills. They were paid before December 31st. They were just put in as paid bills.
Oh, they were in the paid pile? Okay.
Yes.
But,
Yeah,
but
they had to go in everywhere and pay off and adjust it.
Okay, I just,
but yeah, that is, statutorily, you can go into a budget 1 month after it's closed for period 13.
okay.
I won't go into my soapbox on what I think of period 13. But my question, what is not ADA compliant with the county's current website, Natalie?
So I have a few things with the minutes, but we'll start there. Our website's very outdated, and the ADA compliancy, you have to have certain colors, you have to have certain fonts, there are all kinds of litany of things that you have to have done. And so in lieu of the county not updating your entire website, I figured we're going to be more internal and just update ours for election purposes.
Okay, it's really trivial, but I couldn't figure out what the heck was an ADA compliant about the county's website.
But on those topics, the first thing I have is, as far as under the budget that was changed where it said that the changes don't match what the public sees, that, I didn't hear that. That's not correct. The published budget matches CAC. The budget that's on the website matches what we have in CAC.
You changed the spreadsheet on the website?
Yeah, we didn't change it. We made it reflect what was approved.
What do you mean you made it reflect what is approved if you didn't change it?
The numbers that were approved at your budget are on the website and in our financial software.
Was that the 40,000 and 10,000 issue?
Yeah.
So you changed what Derek gave you to post?
So we changed it to what was voted on and approved. So, but that was never said, just what was on the website didn't match CIC. That was not in the meeting, or we would have had that discussion. The other thing that we had is under the CIC issue, the reason why we expressed issue with it was because we were never told what a third party was doing inside our financial software, and we asked 2 different times in finance what was happening, and we were told that nobody knew what CIC was doing in our software. We were never told that they were doing adjustments. That's why we had an issue with it, and that's why I stated that. So saying that we were told that there were adjustments being needed, that's not what we were told. We were told that Scott didn't know why they were in our financial software, and that's when I said, I have grave concern with us letting somebody in the back end of our financial software on a holiday when nobody's in the office and we don't know what they're doing in there.
Okay, I think I can clarify that part. And again, I apologize, I missed the meeting because I would have been able to answer that. So there are adjustments that Sickage is trying to make, and one of the problems that they were having is that the adjustments that they're making, for example, in 2021, were not rolling over into the next year. And there are just certain steps and procedures that need to be done. I think that the treasurer's office didn't know what those steps were. The clerk's office didn't know what those steps were. And Liz from CIC was identifying what needed to be done, but it needed to be done with nobody else in the system, because if something were to get changed and then someone else is in the system also making a change, then it would somehow crash it or something else. So that was why it was decided to make sure that, and I understood that Dawn from the treasurer's office had sent an email out to everybody to say, please not be in CIC. I thought that was going to be that Friday, and then that hadn't been completed. So it was determined that Monday would be a good day to do it, since it was a holiday and nobody should be working on it then anyway. But it had to do with trying to get the system to reflect the rollovers from one period change to the next, So that way Sickage is not having to spend time to re-enter everything that they're making as adjustments from one prior year to the next.
Well, so the county clerk's office was not involved at all. I just want to clear that up. I know you had mentioned something about rollover with the county clerk's office. We are not involved at all in that, but my issue was we were just told to stay out of the financial program, not that a third party was going to be accessing the program without our knowledge. That was my concern with it. And then when I had asked for clarification on what that third party was doing inside of our financial software, because they could have printed checks. It's free reign. We don't have a read-only on that. When I asked what they were doing in there, I was told that we didn't know. And that's what I had a problem with. And so I just want to make sure the minutes reflect that, because this makes it sound like we knew and we did not know. We were just told not to be in it, and then come to find out that we had a third party in there making adjustments that we didn't know about.
Okay, I'd like to clarify that the third party is the company. I mean, that's like QuickBooks getting into QuickBooks. I don't
Changing
understand.
numbers though, that's my problem. It's still a third party changing our numbers.
I don't know that they were necessarily changing numbers.
Well, we printed a report on the 15th. Somebody sent out a report on the 18th on Sunday, or Scott did, and then we printed a report on Tuesday, and all three numbers were different. So something happened, and we asked Scott about it, and he said he did not know. And that's what started all of this, is nobody could answer why we have three different sets of numbers in less than 5 days.
Okay,
And that's our problem.
Okay, I think that's probably going to be a Sickage question or an auditor question, not necessarily a Scott question. So
There are numbers, like we, okay.
Sure.
There was an email chain that went out where you stated that you didn't know why the 21 didn't roll into 22. And you basically left that up to me.
Do you have that?
Yeah,
Okay, good. With you?
not with me, no. But there was an email chain, you asked me why, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why yet, because Anna hasn't, or Liz has not gotten back to us.
Okay. But that has.
I do know that one of the big issues is the period 13 things that are being programmed into it, whether it's accounts payable or payroll. There's a process that you have to go through, opening and closing that year, in order to not mess them up.
Well, we don't do payroll as period 13. Payroll is not a period 13.
You did 3 years worth of period 13.
No.
Yeah, 21, 22, and 23.
Absolutely not.
And then you started doing them accurately.
Absolutely not. No, Scott. Payroll is never period 13. Payroll can be an actual. If they were adjustments, they were done. But I will pull the email up and look. I have no idea. We've not been included in any of that. And I'm just saying that when changes are being made, when we have 5 days, 3 reports, and 3 reports tell us different numbers, I have concerns, especially considering the fact that right now the public trust in our finances is not very high. And I agree with them. I have no idea.
As
So
soon as
I need answers from our finance department.
As soon as she's finished with it, she's supposed to give us an upgrade on what she's seen and what she did. Trying to get them to where they'll roll from one year to the next.
Those are just the entries, is that what you're saying?
The worst part is you had 5 years to work on this and you've basically done
It has
nothing.
nothing to do with our office.
Yeah,
We
it
don't do
does.
anything with this.
For
But you're
15
saying they're
months.
your numbers.
They're
For-
not our numbers, they're the county's finances.
You said they're your numbers.
The payroll is.
Payroll, there's no payroll entries. There are 0 payroll entries. When you made 800 and some entries, 0 were payroll. 0. Right?
You had 15 months that you didn't put anything in there. And all of them were put in there under period 13 for 21.
What? Okay.
Why don't we just move on from this? I think the point is, when you say it was a third party, it's the company that owns the software, and they're trying to help us out. They didn't do it on a day when no one was here because they were trying to sneak something in. They did it for our convenience, so the staff wouldn't have to have downtime on the system.
They did it Friday also, but if that's the case, we need to know what changes they made. And we have to be aware of what they're doing and what changes they're making, so if there's a problem, we can go in and figure it out. That's all I'm saying, is that we need to be made aware, and when we ask what they're doing, we should have an answer, not, I don't know.
There's a problem, otherwise they wouldn't be in there trying to fix things, so
And we should be told
let's.
what it is.
We will be eventually.
They're working.
Why can't we know now?
I don't know what changes they made yet, but she's supposed to come back and give us a detailed listing of what she's seen in the program, why it wasn't working, why it wasn't carrying over, because I asked for it. I told them, I said, we need to know from here going forward what we need to do. If my office needs to change something, fine, we'll do it. If her office needs to change something, then they need to be directed on what to do. And they're supposed to give us an update on all of it.
And I'm sure they will. Let's let them, everyone's been pretty happy with Sikage's work so far. Let's let them finish and get back to it.
And Anna was in on our discussion when we met with CIC, telling them what they needed.
I was not invited on that discussion. I was not included in that discussion at all. It was you guys and Derek, so that's why I didn't know. You guys didn't include us on any of this, so we didn't know. We were just told that there were people in our system, we couldn't get in it, and changes were made, and then I have 3 reports with 3 different sets of numbers, and nobody can answer why.
Okay.
Do we
Anything
need some-
else on the,
Do we
Joey?
need some training, Natalie?
Oh, I would suggest.
It sounds like it. Because we're going to keep rolling into problems year after year. So if we got to get trained on how to use these systems, then that's what we got to do. You agree?
Yeah.
But this isn't just training on an ordinary procedure. This is trying to correct
Yeah.
problems that they've identified
Well,
in the
they
audit.
both need to be involved in, so they know what to do.
Except I'm confused by you saying you have nothing to do with it. They're not your numbers, but yet you think you should have been involved in that meeting.
We generate accounts payable. My office generates accounts payable and payroll. Those are numbers that we put into a general ledger, right? I am not your treasury department. I am not your finance department. I am not the one that is responsible for maintaining your ledger. That is not the county clerk's role. That is your treasury role.
Then why do you feel you should have been in that
Do you
meeting?
mind if I say? I'm sorry. I just want to try to help understand where we're at. So we have to kind of work going up 2 sides and meet in the middle. So if you want to blame it on us, that's fine, but we have to be able to fix it. So
Thanks,
I have
Lance.
to- So I have to know what's going on, so I can explain why there's 3 different sets of numbers when people are calling. I had no idea there were any meetings, no idea changes were being made, none of that. So I just want to be aware, and we'll help do whatever we can help do that's within my statutory powers. We want to help our finance department get in the right spot. That's really what we want to see. We want to see our numbers in the right place. We want to be able to understand them. We want our numbers to be accurate. So we will do whatever. The problem is we have to know about it to be able to help. And right now we're not. It's only, we're told about it when it's convenient.
Madam Chair, may I call for the question?
All right. Don?
Question. Call for a question.
Yeah, I'm calling for the question. That means call, that means asking the vote to be taken.
The vote to be
We want to
taken.
get a first and a second, let's move on.
Okay. All in favor, aye? Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Highway, Joey?
Thank you. The Road and Bridge Committee met Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 at 1:30 PM at the Pike County Highway Department facility located at 39643 260th Avenue, Building 4, Pittsfield, Illinois, 62363. The meeting was called to order at 1:30 PM. Roll call. Present were Rita Hoskins, Joe Cobb, Don Foster, and Andy Barman. Staff, Chris Johnson, Gary Locks, Michelle McCartney, and John McAllister. Visitors were Diana Foster. No public comment. Payment of claims, a motion was made by Andy Borrellman, seconded by Don Foster to pay claims per claim reports dated January 21st, 2026. All in favor, motion carried. 2026 county MFT materials bids. A motion was made by Andy Borrellman, seconded by Don Foster to approve the 2026 county MFT materials bids as presented. All in favor, motion carried. Half eight to bridge closeouts. A motion was made by Don Foster, seconded by Andy Borrellman to approve the following three 2025 half eight to bridge closeouts. It is recommended by the committee that this is moved to the full board for approval. All in favor, motion carried. So then we have the three projects in the three different townships. I guess we're going to vote on those separately?
Separately, yeah.
Okay. New business, County Highway 2 and County Highway 14 will be in the state letting at IDOT on February 27th, 2026, with construction scheduled for this summer. The Highway Department is waiting for a quote on new gutters on the building there. A discussion on health care insurance was held. No old business adjournment. A motion was made by Andy Borrellman, seconded by Don Foster to adjourn the meeting at 1:46 p.m. All in favor, motion carried.
Do I have a motion to approve the highway minutes? Tom? Second? Don? Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Then we have three separate motions on the closeouts. The first is 2025-17 Fairmount Township. Replace culvert with 36-inch by 70-foot culvert plus two bands on 335th Street. County owes the township $4,417.53. Do I have a motion to approve that, Tom? Second by Joey. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Second one, 2025-18 Fairmount Township. Replace culvert with 24-inch by 50-foot culvert plus one band on 370th Street. County owes the township $1,707.85. Do I have a motion? Tom? Second by Andy. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Third one, 2025-19 Fairmount Township. Replace culvert with 15-inch by 60-foot culvert plus two bands on 375th Street. County owes the township $1,402.39. Motion by Andy. Second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Derek, GIS IT Committee?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The GIS IT Committee was called to order at 4:05 p.m. on January 20th, 2026 at the Pike County EOC Center. Committee members Derek Ross, John Foster, Jim Shepard were present in person. Rita Hoskins, Paula Dean, Crystal Miller, Angie Brody, and J.R. Bareyes from Tiger Hawk were also present in person. Under old business, J.R. believed changing cables should have fixed the phone issue at the ambulance department. We are not sure if the issue has been resolved, so Angie will reach out, will send an email to Casey and see if there's still ongoing issues and contact Tiger Hawk if there are any. J.R. also suggested rebooting phones weekly could help alleviate issues. J.R. also said that a transfer of the switch was completed and he does not believe there are any other problems with those switches. Under new business, EagleView 2027 flight, $133,265.50 divided by 3, and the first payment would not be due until May of 2027 was reviewed. Jim made a motion, seconded by Don, to move the approval of the flyover being done in 2027 with full board consideration. The motion passed. Under public comments, there were none. Don Foster made a motion, seconded by Jim Shepard, to pay bills totaling $9,752.15. which includes the annual WTH bill in the amount of $5,500. The motion passed. Jim Shepherd made a motion, Don Fawcett seconded to adjourn. The motion passed and the meeting adjourned at 4:50 p.m.
Motion to approve the GIS IT minutes? Joey? Second by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Separate motion on the flyover issue. The reason this is coming up now is they are scheduling the March 2027 flyover now. So, again, the motion is approve a proposal from the supervisor of assessments for spring 2027 flyover. The total cost is $133,265.50. The first third would be payable upon delivery after the flyover, and that is anticipated in the late spring of 2027. Do I have a motion to approve that? Tom? Jim, second? Any discussion?
Is that bid out? Do they bid that out?
It was bid out, and at the time we did the first flyover, and the second flyover was an option within that bid.
Okay.
And this is just to schedule the aircraft for what they need.
And it commits us to the payment for it.
Yeah.
Scheduling for hopefully March of '27. And then commits us to pay. Tom, or Derek?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've already started working on the 2027 budget, and I will go ahead and add that in as an expense for the year. But I don't know what the funding source is going to be. So luckily, it's going to be divided by thirds. I think Nicole was looking at trying to see if she could get a grant for it or somehow get it paid for. So we'll continue looking at revenue sources that could help pay for that. But I am starting to, as I said, work on the 2027 budget because it'll be here before we know it. So.
And the other 2/3 would not fall in '27.
Right. So just a third of that.
Just the first third. We have a motion on the table. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Tom, do you want to do building and grounds
Yeah,
tonight?
I'll do building and grounds, thank you. Building and grounds met January 17th at 6 PM in the annex building. Attendees were Lance Kendrick, Tom Lewis, Rita Hostin, Scott Circle, David Greenwood. Mark Mountain was absent. Tom made a motion to approve $6,479.12 in bills. Lance seconded, motion carried. Old business, sheriff will put out storm damage claim for bids. We will generate capital plans for grant funds. Greenwood would work on bids for capital improvements to the jail. New business, request to purchase county-owned properties received for 3 separate parcels, and that's over in the East Hannibal area. Lewis made a motion for Lance to negotiate terms with interested parties. Health Department would like to utilize Shane for mowing if possible. That's out at the Health Department. We'll review vendors and purchases to ensure that the county is not duplicating services. Received bid for fertilizing county lawn. No action was taken. Public comment, none. Tom made a motion to adjourn. Lance seconded. Motion carried. Adjournment at 6:40 PM.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve building and grounds minutes? Derek, second by Andy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Tom, Public Safety?
Thank you. Public Safety Committee met on 1/21/26 at 7 PM at the ambulance building. Members present were Tom Lewis, Jim Shepherd, Andy Barman, Rita Hoskins. Also present were Casey Kendall, David Greenwood, and employees of the ambulance service. Bills, Shepherd made a motion to pay bills in the amount of $41,210.66, seconded by Barman. Motion carried. Administrators report. Casey went over the runs for the month of December. Staley ran 238 calls for December and had a total of 2,483 calls for the year. We also had 58 transfers for December with a total of 603 for the year. Casey also handed out a sheet showing actual versus budget year to date. This gives the committee a clear picture on how the budget is for each line item. We still have 2 paramedics out on medical leave and hope to have them back by March. Fleet is in good condition with just routine maintenance done at this time. EMT class is going on with 6 students. Quincy area EMS has implemented some new policies and our staff has been doing skill checks and are up to date on these new policies. PR event was at Griggsville Perry Pre-K, which all went very well. IDPH and EMS coordinator from Blessing was down and done inspection on our ambulances, all passed. Austin Priest from IDNR had got a hold of Casey about a rescue task force. There were several interested employees in this, and there will be a class held on March 8th for this. Greenwood stated that the 4% sales tax will be on the March ballot to help support the Sheriff's Department. Motion to go into closed session by Shepard, seconded by Barman concerning collective bargaining. Motion carried. Closed session at 7:11 p.m. 7:25 back in open session with nothing coming out of the closed session. At 7:26, a motion to adjourn was made by Barman, seconded by Shepard. Motion carried and meeting was adjourned.
I have a motion to approve the public safety minutes. Motion by Derek. Second. Don?
You want to
Any?
change that wording in there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you seconding?
Yeah.
Okay. And you also have a question?
That word rescue, that you had an IDNR, Casey, about rescue.
Yeah.
Is that what that should be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I missed it. I missed it when you read over it. Sorry.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Were there any other committees? Okay. Item 10, new business. I had one issue I wanted to bring up. I emailed to you, although it was late this afternoon, I just got it today. A request from the Mid-America Port. You'll remember Blake Roderick represents them. They're asking for a letter of support for a member initiative that Congresswoman Miller is working on for the construction of rail at their site. They believe with this construction, there's a chance a multinational company will lease a dry storage facility there. And they're asking for a letter of support from us. They need it by February 2nd. So that, it was too late for me to put it on the agenda, but if, I'm wondering if there isn't any objection, I could go ahead and, they provided a sample letter that we can do unless folks are concerned about it.
I think there's probably a consensus that would be something that needs to be done.
All right,
Although we can't vote on it, we can give our assent.
exactly. But you could certainly voice an objection
Yes.
right now if you had any concerns, so.
And I have none.
Go, okay. Thank you for that. Also, the 6-month reports, we did highway last month. Natalie sent hers and Bryce sent his. I just got them today, so again, it was too late for this meeting to act on them, but I'll include them in next month's agenda. And if any other department heads are listening, it's that time, but for them to be getting theirs in under the statute. Anybody else have any new business? Okay, any old business? Derek?
Okay, so I was gonna talk about this in finance, but in retrospect, probably old business should be. I wanted to, not everybody has seen the audit, and so I just wanted to point out a couple things that I'll be addressing at the next finance meeting. I was gonna bring them up at the finance meeting, but again, I unfortunately wasn't able to make it and didn't have any of my notes for anybody else to go over, so. First of all, one thing that I found out by talking to the auditors, and I got some clarifications on the auditor's responsibility is really to track and to post the money. They will write up if they find something, but they will not necessarily say something's done wrong. So just because they don't write something up doesn't necessarily mean that the audit's fine or that something done internally was correct. I found that interesting because I pointed out a couple things and they're like, yeah, we can tell you that 2 and 2 is 4, but we can't tell you that the 2 was spent correctly. That's more in procedures. That's more to do with how you guys handle stuff within your county. So the other thing is that they do broad, they look broadly across all funds more so than specific departments. So for example, the general fund is a fund. They're not looking at each individual department and then looking at the individual spending within those departments. They're just saying how much was the total done in that fund, and then they do some more detailed analysis. But again, I thought they saw everything, and that's not really, they said it would just take forever if they did that, and it made sense. I wanted to correct an explanation from the finance meeting that accrued payroll is in this particular instance that it was brought up on page 7 and 10 is not the sick pay and everything else. And if from sickage said that those numbers were from the health insurance costs not being recorded as expenses during the manual payroll process used in fiscal year 2022. And again, this has to do with the 2022 audit. So that was what the correct terminology or the correct use of the accrued payroll was in that instance. However, compensated absences are addressed on page 29, 30, and 37, and they are the liability of the employees for the accumulated sick, vacation, and comp time. So Natalie is correct, we do keep track of it, but it's covered under compensated absences, not the accrual or accrued payroll. The other part that's in the audit, and I'm trying to get more detailed information on it because under the county clerk's personnel budget, it has that she was over by $132,000, and that's on page 79 of the audit. And it was going to look further into it, but I did find in the November 28, 2022 board meeting where there were some current concerns brought up by the county clerk's office. Specifically, Carrie Rodhouse provided figures that stated the 2022 budget for the county clerk's salaries was $151,720, and that spending for salaries as of November 10th payroll was $166,000, putting the clerk's office over $14,000 over budget and salaries thus far. The 2023 budget appears to include $207,970 for salaries, but it seems it should be about $151,000, the total 2022 budget level, plus the $5,000, which was a $1,000 raise for 5 employees, as discussed, was totaling $156,720. So the $14,000 plus whatever the second pay in November doesn't make up $132,000 difference. But I have specifically asked that question of Anna to then get a hold of the auditors and figure out why there's such a discrepancy on what was budgeted compared to what was paid out.
Derek, what page was that? I'm sorry, I just had to pull the audit up.
Page 79.
Thank you.
Yep. And then on page 67, there's a shortage of revenue. For fiscal year 2022, the budget, and fiscal year 2022, the levy was passed on the November 29, 2021 board meeting, which included $1,141,840. At a tax rate or levied at 0.37 was just specifically noted a couple times during that meeting. In fact, Mr. Filbert asked about it, getting clarification on what the 0.37 was. To kind of remind everybody, there was a change in the census in 2020. It allowed us to up our levy from 0.27 to 0.37. However, the levy confirmation for 2021 that was signed by the county clerk, Natalie Roseberry, on June 8th, found that interesting that it was all the way in June, of 2022, certified that the above levy confirmation is correct, but it shows the general fund levy of $1.147, but at a maximum rate of 0.27. So the audit shows that the general fund tax collected in fiscal year 2022 was actually at 805,000, not the 1.1 million. So we started out, or we collected $336,647 less in fiscal year 2022 because the levy that was kind of passed was not what was collected. So I'm trying to get some clarification on any of those details, but those details are publicly posted on the website. The treasurer's office was able to find the levy that was passed and signed by the county clerk. So our errors or our deficits started way before last year. When you start looking at, we collected $336,000 less on an error. I mean, I don't know how, I don't know what the heck happened, but anyway, so that's what I've seen so far preliminary in the audit, and I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention that I'm still trying to get some more clarification and answers on things, and I will bring that up at the finance meeting. But since we're going to look at trying to approve this potentially in February, I wanted everybody to be aware of what I've found so far and what I'm trying to get clarification on.
So Derek, on page 79, you will notice that where it says personnel, that number is $479,000. That includes the entire election budget. There was an email with me and the auditors on December 30th at 1:08 p.m. where I called that out. They realized it was their error and they will make an amendment. So it will not be in the final audit. This is a preliminary win. That's meant for us to go through and catch errors. So I feel free to reach out to me for some of the questions that you have. This is the first that I'm hearing about any of these. We also have the levies that you need that we could send to you. And then we can tell you maybe where the discrepancies are. So we can let you know that. But that entire amount in my salary line includes 100% of the election budget for that year. And it was the auditor's error.
So there was a $100,000 discrepancy though between what was budgeted, including the election line, and what was spent.
No, there should not have been. That's what we're waiting to hear back from. So when I sent this to Erin and I let her know the election expenses, because they don't have an election line that's there, they only have the 3 statutory lines: the personnel, repairs and maintenance, and other. They don't actually have it listed as our budget. And so that's what we're working through right now, trying to figure that out. So if you notice, if you look at my actual budget, there's like 6 different lines. This one only has 3. So they've consolidated lines.
Right. Again, I mean, even consolidating all of them, it says that a total of $153,000 over budget compared to actual. I mean, you're either over or you weren't. I mean,
right. Well, and then that's what I'm working on with the auditors. That's what we will talk about, because I believe a lot of that has to do with the grants too and the way that they're done, because the state grants operate on a different fiscal year, so they're awarded separately. So we can talk about all of that. I believe that's probably better addressed to the committee since that's a preliminary audit report, but feel free to email with questions and I can respond and let you know. But we did address that, and they did approach that with their error on the salary line.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That was it, Madam Chair.
Okay. Along that line, moving into Chairman's remarks, I did want to say that I've asked the auditors to try and arrange their schedule so that they can present the audit at the February meeting. I don't have confirmation back on that yet. I've also asked them if they can have a final draft at least a week before that meeting, so we can get it to all of you and you'll have time to look at it prior to the meeting itself. Okay. One thing I did want to ask, Natalie said, as you remember from the finance meeting, that she had an unusual volume of FOIA requests here at the beginning of the year. And I would like to see those, not all, the responses and everything, but could we or I see the FOIA requests themselves, just to see who's
Yes.
requesting and what it is.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, thanks. Okay.
All departments, or every department handles their own.
Okay, yeah, we can get, so when you were talking about the volume you had, are you talking about only your department?
That is any county records that would be responsible, so county board records, any emails from the county board, any elections, so anything in my office, but like FOIAs for the sheriff's department, go to the sheriff, FOIAs for the state's attorney, go to the state's attorney, so. each
For right
department-
now, I'd like to see yours, because I'm interested in the crossover with the county board.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Then moving on to the approval of the expenses and mileage per diem.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So for the month of January, building and grounds, $6,479.12. Public safety, $41,210.66. GIS, $9,752.15. Finance, $68,307.13. Special funds, $13,485.54 for a total of $152,724. Mileage and per diem, and keep in mind there's a crossover on the mileage rate. So your mileage rate on 12/22 is going to be different than on 120. So 12/22 board meeting, all members were present. GIS 120, all members were present. Highway 121, all members were present. Finance 121, Derek Ross was absent. Building and grounds 121, Mark Mountain was absent. Public safety 121, all members were present. Monthly board pay $600 for a total of $2,037.91.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
And we talked about this, are we supposed to turn in labor committee or not?
Oh,
I don't know if that's a standing committee,
In the past, the labor committees have been shut down, yeah.
any other committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so I need to get to you. We've met twice.
Well, you and I were at one, and then Lance, you and I were at the other one, but I never got an answer, so I never turned it in, so I didn't know if labor committee.
Did you ask us?
What?
No,
Rita and I were
no.
talking at the meeting, and
Oh,
so
I
no,
gotcha. Yeah,
not
just
you.
send me an email. All you have to do is send me an email what meetings you attended. and
Okay.
put it on
I didn't know if it was a standing committee or if it was a special committee that you
the-
didn't
It's
get
normally a
paid
paid committee.
for. Okay, so, all right, I'll find the dates and times and let you know, thank you.
And Derek, I can do that and for the three of us and copy you and Lance, and then if you don't think it's
We have another one on Friday,
can-
correct? So,
29th, whatever day that is,
I think that's Thursday.
That's Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay. Well, I would have been there Friday.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve Natalie's report? Tom, second by Andy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Motion carried. Okay, any questions from the press or public comment? Jim? David? Any public comment? Okay, then motion to adjourn. Tom, second by Don. Any questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Please let me say real quick that when Jerry Rodhouse was talking, my computer went completely dark. So it is going to take me a little bit to turn off the streaming. Just be aware as you're milling about.
He already has that effect on you. You gonna get me done?
Yeah, I was gonna get you, but all of a sudden.
You want me to get it?
No,
You got a cramp? I can get it.
no, I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could have got it when I was down there.
Derek, what levies are you needing, or what? I don't think anybody's asked us for any levies or limits or anything. Something that you said that Scott was able to dig up. We got all that. Let's run it.
Scott said it's been a long time. Copy of the, 2022 levy.
Yeah, and you know that your budget is an estimate. It goes off your estimated EAV.
This has to do with the rate cap being at 2.27 instead of raising to 0.37.
Just the set for raise up, okay. And that could have been an error. And I think that was also the year that we had the Pleasant Hill issue with DevNet, and DevNet's the one that worked on our extensions, and that's before we took it over.
I'm just saying the board has to be at 0.37 and the levy that you signed says 0.27. So
It is
you
very,
collected $300,000 less.
it is very impossible. I will look at it and we will see what's going on.
This is,
Thank you.
Good, good. Both are doing well. Thank you for asking.
yes, she did. She was in a hurry. Rita?
Rita, do you have any idea what to do with this?
That's her phone.
That's for Natalie.
Yeah, she's gone.
Oh, she's gone. I already gave her my, yeah.
Okay, what, is this true?
I know it is.
Andy? Oh, these two chairs?
No.
We gotta just bunch them up together?
That's what I was trying to tell people, that when that went dark, it cuts off my ability to. Here we go, okay. If I can find the mouse here.